Hi, this is Professor Pito, and I'm back with another help video to try to clear up some confusion that I've seen in the homework. In today's help video, I want to talk about propositions, and specifically connotations. I'm going to talk about two issues today. The first I'm going to talk about really briefly, and the second one I'll go into a little bit more with some examples. If you think back on your exercises about propositions, at the very end, I asked you to reword a bunch of sentences into one single sentence. Some of you got it wrong because you didn't write one sentence. And others of you smushed together all of the different phrases into one sentence, which isn't what I was actually asking you to do. The exercise was trying to get you to understand connotations by thinking about different words that mean the same thing so that you would abbreviate those three sentences and make them into a much smaller, more concise single sentence. And that's what makes connotations really difficult when it comes to critical thinking, because there's often not one concise, correct answer. And that's the point of connotations. Connotations express different feelings or different ideas depending on where somebody lives or what time they're living in. How I defined it on iLearn, connotations refer to a meaning that's implied by a word apart from the thing which describes it explicitly. So the alternative definitions aren't explicit or obvious, but most people know what they are. So take for example the term overeating in your homework. The exercise was trying to get you to think about this word as being neutral, meaning it doesn't have either a negative or a positive connotation. And the second thing that you were supposed to do was to think about another word that means the exact same thing as the neutral term, but can also have a positive or a negative connotation. So the first thing that you needed to do in order to correctly respond to this question is to think about what is the definition of the term in front of you. For some of you, you conflated or assumed that the meaning of overeating was the same as overweight, fat, or gaining weight. Some of you couldn't think about one or two words that had the same connotation as overeating, so you wrote a sentence or a phrase instead. For instance, eating like you haven't eaten in years. What I think most of you did was look up the term overeating on a thesaurus online, and you found several different terms. Terms like surfeit, which doesn't actually have the same meaning as overeating, so that wasn't correct. And other times, some of you chose a correct term, such as indulge, but you didn't correctly define it as being a positive or negative term. Indulge almost always connotes something negative, like too much. What about the term feast? Is feast ever a term that's used negatively? You can probably think about a situation where it's used negatively, but generally speaking, feast connotes the same idea to most people. And that's what we mean by connotation. I hope this video was helpful. As always, I can't explain everything perfectly, so try to come to office hours and we can talk about your specific issues then.